Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. We are talking about another win, 3 consecutive wins against Newcastle, against Nottingham Forest, and now against Everton today. Yes, we made hard work of it, but 3 points is 3 points. We are now back in the top 4 and we are only 3 points away from top spot. I think it's very fair to say, had we have got all of our players fit and available, not suspended throughout the whole of this season, Spurs would be sitting top of the Premier League table. Anyway, to talk about today's game, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Everton 1, we've got back on the show actor Ricky Norwood, fresh from the ice skating, from dancing on ice. Rick, how are you, mate?
I am good, my friend. I've missed all of you, man. I've missed all of you. It's so nice to be back on, especially during Christmas time. So everybody celebrating Christmas, I send you all the love in the world. I know it's crazy right now. I know there's last-minute presents going on right now. There's last-minute shopping going on right now. But all your efforts will be appreciated. And that effort today was definitely appreciated. So I'm super happy with the 3 points. Let's crack on.
Also back with us, the man that brings all of the trophies and all of the medals to this show, Richard Whitehead, MBE. Rich, how are you?
How's it going, mate? Yeah. I say my hands are a little bit clammy after that game, believe you, the last 5 or 6 minutes. But yeah, I'm all happy and smiley, which is brilliant because over the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's been tough. Last couple of games have really kind of brought it back into line, but always happy to be on the show. And everybody, get subscribing to this show.
And also back with us, channel regular Craig Dearman. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah, the heart rate's dropped since the game finished. But my God, this club, don't they do it to you? But I think you're dead right. 16 points drops from winning positions, we would be top of the league. And if we could have just addressed that. But look, it is what it is. We're still in a good place. We're going into Christmas in 4th. So we got the win. It's all good. Everybody's smiling.
Well, let me just show you the picture on how close it was to actually being a draw right at the end. Danjuma. No goal. This went to VAR. No goal. That is how close it was. Now, straight after the final whistle, I bumped into Fabio Paratici, and Daniel Levy was actually with him in the corridor. One of the fans asked Daniel Levy what we would be doing in the January transfer window. His reply was, "We will do our best." But as you can see by this photo, Fabio full of smiles yet again. Now, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Everton 1. Of course, Richarlison put Spurs 1-0 up after 9 minutes. Sonny doubled our lead after 18 minutes. And Gomez grabbing one back for Everton in the 82nd minute. Of course, Everton also had a goal disallowed. As I mentioned, Spurs are back in the top 4. We've now played 18. We've won 11. We've drawn 3. We've lost 4. We've got a goal difference of plus 13. We have 36 points. Arsenal and Aston Villa are in 1st and 2nd respectively with 39 points, and Liverpool just above us in 3rd with 38 points. Now, Ricky, let's start the show with you. Your thoughts on today's game?
Wow. Well, today, it was a crazy one today. I thought, Everton have been doing very well in the league since they got their 10-point deduction. And you've seen definitely a battle-ready side from them. They've gone on a great run so far, so it was always going to be a difficult game. And the beginning of the game, I felt that, Everton had a lot of the ball and they had a couple of the chances first 5 minutes, but then we got into our stride, started playing some sexy football, some sexy one-touch football from back to front, and some of it was, breathtaking. But after the 2 goals, and I know we'll break everything down, but after the 2 goals, I don't know, we went back into our shell a little bit. It felt like when we go 1 goal up in the past and we just sat back a little bit, we didn't push on. Well, it seemed the same after that 2nd goal, that we didn't really push on, and we just allowed Everton to kind of grow into the game. And I think we was as always, the majority of the time, we was the kind of the orchestrators of our own downfall. We orchestrated our own problems. Some of the passes were a bit short. Some of them were not, some of them were a little bit too forceful. We kept missing out by millimeters on some of the play that we wanted to play. Some of that Ange ball, some of that Tottenham way. I think it went bitty. I was hoping for them to come out firing for the second half. They did, but it was a scrap. You could see that Everton were on it, and they grew. Towards the end of that first half, they grew in confidence and they grew in belief. so that when they came out in the second half, they were ready to go at us, and they did. I think we was pretty lucky. It could have gone either way, that disallowed goal from Everton. And I think we was pretty lucky to come out with all 3 points. But, you know, there's difference in personnel. You can definitely see when different personnel come into the side, how that football changes. But you've got to give it to the boys for their effort, their fight, their togetherness. They stuck together as a unit, and they fought hard to keep the 3 points in the bag. So you got to send a big thank you and a big well done to the boys, and thank you to Big Ange for the 3 points for Christmas. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, Ricky, the mood here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today is a really, really pleasant one. Of course, we've got Christmas in a couple of days. Spurs winning again, only 3 points away from that top spot. I'm excited going forward into 2024, and I know we're going to talk about the January transfer window later on in the show, but you know, a couple of additions, you know, getting these players back from suspension, getting these players back from injury. We have got a great squad, and of course, we know we have a fantastic manager as well. So it's great to see us all smiling on this stream again. Rich, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts. Actually, before we get your thoughts, let me go through the match stats. Spurs had 61% possession to Everton's 39%. Shots, we had 13 to Everton's 18. Shots on target, Spurs 6, Everton 8. Corners, we only had 3 to Everton's 8. Fouls, Spurs 6, Everton 18. Rich, your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, the game was game of two halves, really. And the first half, I think we came out... the first 5 minutes, it was actually a little sloppy. I thought Everton were on top. The good press, and then Spurs started to turn the screw a little bit regarding possession. Some nice kind of interplay between the midfield. Obviously, Richarlison, with his newfound confidence, looked like he was on it today. Sonny, lots of energy. And then around that kind of 30-minute mark, I could see that obviously being 2-0 up, then Everton came into the game, and they were a good team. You can tell they were a good team, well drilled, and we were very lucky today because we were very sloppy with the ball. I thought 5 or 6 of the players looked like they were empty in that second half. And like Ricky was saying as well, when the dynamic of the team changes, it then puts more and more pressure on the team, and the team seemed to sit further and further back. And obviously that isn't the way that Ange wants to play ball. That's the more kind of Conte way. And for me, those last 5 or 6 minutes were a real kind of struggle to watch, because you could see a goal coming that would lose us vital points that would put us into the top 4. But saying that, obviously a smile on my face with 3 points. And also what you've got to think is after November being so bad, then what's happened is we've had game after game after game, and that momentum is there. It's coming, but it's also very tiring. So if you haven't got the reinforcements or the weapons on the bench to come on and keep that level as high, it is a real struggle. And I think today, in that second half, it really shows that vulnerability within the whole squad.
Rich, full credit to Everton, though. They certainly went for it today, didn't they?
Yeah, you could see that last 15 minutes, they were playing full up front. They were literally going for it. But obviously, Gomez coming on for them, like, turned the game. I think he had a lot of time on the ball. I think because of a couple of obviously suspension injuries in that midfield area, we started to look overrun in that second half. And then as they pushed their wider men further forwards, they didn't know whether to stick or gamble, the midfielders, to actually man-mark those players. And there was so many times, if you look at the game, how many times they had 3-on-2, and we were just lucky that they were so wasteful. If you look at their chances and how good their chances was compared with the ones that we have, oh yes, we could have made it 3-0 with Decky with that one-on-one, but good save from Pickford. But for me, I think we could sigh of relief, move on to the next game, and enjoy Christmas as a Spurs fan, which is always great.
Craig, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's win.
Moaning Craig.
Moaning Craig, yeah. Craig's moan of the week, yeah. Not much to moan about at the moment, to be honest. Yeah, get it out of the way. Firstly, just a shout out to Bev Benson and Rhythm 2671 that said us three are her and I don't know whether the other one's a male or a female, but we're the three favourite guests of those two viewers. So thank you very much. It's very nice. Very nice. Yeah, thoughts on the game. Just much echoing what the chaps have already said, to be honest. It was a tough watch that last 10 minutes, and to be honest, more or less the whole of the second half. I think if Brennan Johnson chance goes in the first half, it would have been a completely different game. He just needs to get his shooting boots on, Brennan. He does a lot of good work, but just that final product, I think that would have put the game to bed in the first half. So yeah, it just does go to show the players coming in aren't quite at the level, but they're doing the job. And we got over the line today. And look, I said off air that we should have beaten Villa. Really, we should have beaten West Ham. You could take all those points and add them onto our total at the moment, and you could say you could have said we could have lost today. Is what I'm getting at. So it does even out, So that's football for you, and we're sitting fourth. And nobody can do anything about that at the moment. So till City come back, we'll see. But just hopefully Liverpool will be able to turn the Gooners over, or nice little draw there would probably be better for us, wouldn't it? So it'd be good to be kept up to date with that. But we can only win our games, and we done today. We struggled over the line, we fell over the line, but we got the job done.
I don't know whether you've been totaling up these points, Craig, but another correct result and. Another correct result for me on the predictions. Ricky, let me come to you. Of course, we'll win. We're always going to celebrate a win. But Ricky, people around me today were quite taken back by some of the football that we played. In a real positive way. But I know you guys have said in the last 15, 20 minutes or so, it was a tough watch because, of course, we're all on the edge of the seats for the wrong reason. How would you describe the performance? Because although it was a hard watch that last 15, 20 minutes or so, we can see each week that what Ange Postecoglou is trying to do. And I know that we've been, singing his praises every single game since he came in, and the league position where we are right now. Doesn't it just seem that little bit more exciting, the fact that we know that some of these things are wrong. We know that Ange is going to improve it. We know that these players are going to come back. We know that the suspended players are going to come back. We know that we're going to do business in the January transfer window. Doesn't it make it that little bit more exciting to think, well, what if all of these things then come together? Where will we be sitting?
Exactly, bro. Exactly. It is definitely it's an exciting time for Tottenham. And who would have known it? Who would have known it? Who would have guessed? If you remember before the end of the season, what we were talking about, how far down we had fallen, after Conte, Mason taking up the baton, talks of Harry Kane leaving, talks of this, that, and the other, it was in disarray. I remember being on with you before the season started in pre-season and kind of going, Ange's got 101 problems here, he's got to sort out from top to bottom. And, he's done a lot, and you've got to give credit to the club as well, because not always do those that sit in that big office learn from their mistakes. It was something that I kind of wanted to hear from the board, to kind of say, you know what, we've made mistakes in the past, we're going to own up to them, and we're going to learn by them, and we're going to put them right. And they didn't really say that, but what they have done, instead of speaking, they've done it with action. They've done it with action. So from top to bottom, you can see, and that picture shows it as well, that you had with Paratici. Ever since he came in, they started to try and work a way to fix these mistakes. And you've got to give a lot of credit to Levy and to Paratici as well. Levy for backing Paratici, but for Paratici, for the players that he's brought in and how much they're growing. It is definitely a team that Paratici has built. And you can see them thriving. And with a coach, forward-thinking coach now, with a way of playing, it's exciting, and it doesn't matter. I love the fact that the coach, the manager, he doesn't settle for excuses. I've been here many a time and said, look at our injuries. Look, we've got excuses. We've got valid excuses to kind of cling to. But he doesn't take that on board whatsoever. He still wants everybody to play the same way, with the same intensity, with the same passion, with the same drive, with the same fight. And you've got to admire that. You've got to love that about our side. And we've gone through adversity. And when you go through adversity, whether it's on the football pitch or in life, as soon as you get to the other end, as soon as you get to the light at the end of the tunnel, you realize how strong you have become. You realize how much that adversity has helped you grow and has pushed you forward. And we're only still at the infancy of this side. Ange has not had a full strength squad yet to pick from. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't been able to change dynamics where he's wanted to. You know, we know that Dier was out of the picture for so long, especially in those first 10 games. And then, you know, injuries, suspensions, this, that, and the other. He's brought him back in. And you can kind of see that if he can get the right tools, and if we continue to not only back him, but back Lang and back Paratici and back the focus and the kind of the mission statement. They're all working under the mission statement, and you can see that from top to bottom in our club right now. Not only the first team, the 21s, the 18s, the women's team, it is going through top to bottom, and they're rectifying their mistakes. And we're still in the infancy, and there's so much way to go. I mean, we all dream of having Bentancur, Sarr, you know, Maddison in midfield. You know, when Basuma's back up to 100%, what does that say, you know, with our midfield? And when we've got options left, right, and centre to pick from up front, what does that say? So it's super exciting right now. The one thing that I love as well, I know I've said a lot of things that I love, but one thing that I do love is that I trust the process right now. I'm trusting the manager. I'm trusting the scouting team. There's not been too many duds within those that we've brought in. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone talking about Danjuma, but Danjuma was brought in on a loan. Yes, Conte didn't really want him, didn't really fit his system, and he didn't get that much game time. But you look at everybody else that they've brought in, and wow, absolutely wow, what a side we're building right now. If we continue along that trajectory, who knows where we can go? The sky's the limit. Like our boss says, no ceiling, no floors. And a great example of all of this, of what I'm saying, is Pap Sarr. I mean, Pap Sarr today, my gosh, that boy, he was everywhere. He was all over the pitch. He was there defending. He was there in midfield. He was there attacking. You know, that shot, he had a great shot from outside the box that was a daisy cutter that I would have loved that to have gone in, you know? So there is so much to take from this side, and they're so young right now as well. They're all loving the football. They're all loving the process. They're all moving in the right direction, and fingers crossed, do you know what I mean? If they continue along this line, who knows where we could be? We are upsetting the apple cart right now, without a shadow of a doubt.
Do you know, at the full-time whistle, it was like a party atmosphere again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Incredible scenes. I've literally just uploaded a YouTube video, so do check that out after this stream. You will see that every single suspended player, every single injured player were on the bench or around the bench today, and they were applauding the team after. I did think it was a shame that, and I have seen this before, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg going down the tunnel on his own whilst everyone else is celebrating, but you know, we've seen it before, but the togetherness and, of course, them going over to the fans and, you know, of course, the fans singing his name again. I tell you, it's a real pleasure to be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when this atmosphere is like it is, because it's been absolutely brilliant. Going into Christmas, of course, I know we've got Brighton next. That's going to be another tough game away in 5 days' time, which we'll talk about later. Rich, do you want to add anything to what Ricky said about the job that Ange Postecoglou has done in this 7 months? Because the feeling is just so different. I know we've spoken about it on a number of times, you know, a number of occasions, you know, certainly on this podcast where the four of us have been on when, you know, we've had some dark times, we've had some really, really poor performances. And even someone bumped into me earlier and said, you know, your podcast last year, they were, you know, I didn't even want to watch them. And I said, I didn't even want to record them. I didn't even want to record them, let alone you watch them. Because, you know, we did have some dark times, but every single time now, I don't know about you, but every single time now I watch Spurs, I'm going into it thinking we're going to win this game.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got no doubt.
I sent you a message before, didn't I, Chris, saying that I was really looking forward to the game today. I think from my point of view, you can see how the manager's really installing confidence within the players. And even when the players, like Richarlison, for instance, go in a bit of a lull and miss chances, and so some of the fans kind of get on the players' back, or kind of they don't have the confidence that they should have to take those opportunities. He shows that faith, but also there's things in place for him to be successful. So it's not just all about putting the ball in the back of the net. It's about the press. It's about his involvement within the team, which is really important. And you can tell Ange is a character that's a leader through what he does and what he says and how he manipulates the players to be part of that team. One thing I've really noticed is the resilient side of the team has really gained some kind of steel. And there's not many times you hear co-commentators or the Roy Keanes of this world say Spursy now. And even when we had those 3 or 4 games where we were the wrong side of a result, say, like in Aston Villa, it wasn't because we were going back into that negative style of football. It was always playing the way that Ange wanted to play. And he did say that there was going to be times where it's going to be tough because it's not all going to go our way. And I feel because we haven't got all the pawns on the board yet, and the players, when we've got not just 11, but we've got 2 players for every position that can just slot in there, that's when I think we really know how far we can go with the team, and not having to rely on players like switching positions to fill in, but actually having people that just slot in, that the level of the team doesn't drop. Really exciting time to be a Spurs fan, like you said, Chris. And it's always great to be smiling on the show after, because we have had some dark moments for sure.
It's funny, anytime I'm really positive about Ange and what he's doing at the club, Celtic fans get in touch with me and say, Chris, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait to the future. You haven't seen anything yet. So I'm really looking forward to it. Craig, before we talk about the lineup, do you want to add anything about Postecoglou and what he's done?
Again, it's always difficult being last, especially with these 2 brilliant guests we've got on, because especially old Mucker Ricky, he does cover a lot in one.
He makes our life so much easier, doesn't he? Ricky Norwood on the show. It's like the 3 of us don't need to do anything.
No, I'd just rather say ditto, But no. I mean, look, Ange is just phenomenal. I don't know anybody that dislikes him at all. I know there was a lot of doubters at the start, but over the months, I genuinely don't know anybody that doesn't like what Ange Postecoglou is doing. With Conte, there was always that almost 50-50 from the start. Mourinho was the same. Nuno was probably 70% out from the start. So, I would say he's probably on a par, if not even more than Poch, popular with the fans, because there were still fans that didn't really like Poch that I knew. But Ange, I've not heard anybody had a bad word to say about him. What he's done so far, as Chris said, it's at the beginning. This is just the beginning, and to be where we are, and for him to have done what he's done and get the results he's got with Madders out, Van der Ven, Udogie, Bentancur, Solomon, Perisic, Cesc, Bissouma, 5 of those are first team starters, and to still play the football he wants to play and have that amount of players out. We've had 11, 12 players out before. It's just phenomenal, and it just goes to show the players are buying into it. And I'm really looking forward to what this manager can bring, and I just hope they back him in the transfer window, which I know we'll come on to. But even looking forward to the summer, if we can strengthen, and like you say, Rich, get 2 players in each position. I personally think Spence would be brilliant as a right back, to be honest. Spence, and having the choice of Spence and Porro, it'd just be phenomenal. So let's see what the future holds. I'm sure it's going to be brighter than we've been used to the last 3 or 4 years, because it's been turgid sometimes. So I just think he's been phenomenal, Chris. There's no other word for it. Phenomenal.
Can I just add one thing to that as well? What I've noticed is that when the manager talks and when the manager communicates with the press and the fans, there's no BS. It's like, this is how it is. And this is where we're going. And I can remember time and time again where we've not had the kind of communication from the board or from the manager that we want to actually know where the club's going, where we know the direction and we know for the style of play. We know the communication is so much better. So I'd say as a manager, he communicates very well. And it shows, obviously, his staff want to stay around the club. They don't want to go to other clubs to take bigger jobs. And that shows the power of not the man, but the power of the mission, the power of the journey that the players and the staff want to go on.
Sorry for just running down the corridor. Dejan Kulusevski was literally right next to me, but he just got mobbed by a lot of fans. So I would have got him to say a quick hello. Let's talk about the starting 11. Ricky, let's come to you. Of course, Ange Postecoglou made 2 changes. Basuma and Udogie were both suspended. So 2 false changes, Skip and Emerson coming in. So the team lineup was as follows: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Emerson, Davies, Sarr, Skip, Kulusevski, Johnson, Richarlison and Son. And the subs today: Forster, Dorrington, Dier, Phillips, Hojbjerg, Lo Celso, Brian Hill, Donnelly and Viles. Any surprises there for you, Rick, or is that exactly what you expected?
Do you know what? To tell you the truth, I thought he would have started Hojbjerg, to tell you the truth, in the 6 instead of Skip. But he did say in the press conference that he was going to give Skip a bit of a run, or that he would get minutes in that position, in his preferred position, in the 6, really. So, yeah, that was a bit of a surprise to me to see that. But it was encouraging to kind of go, all right, and cool, coming in, Skippy. What you got? Bring something to the table here. And I think he done okay. I think he done relatively good. I wouldn't say outstanding. He was full of energy. Had a couple of nice forward passes. Was there to block in the defense as well. But there were some sloppy times, some sloppy moments as well from him. I would say. It's always tough with Emerson Royale playing on the left. We know that. We know he likes to drive forward. We know he's athletic, but we know that he is majority right-footed, and that's going to hurt our balance, especially being at the back. And I felt that kind of contributed to some of the shots or some of the chances that we conceded was him being on the left side, you know. But yeah, the majority of it was good to see Richarlison back up front again. Again, another one that had a game full of energy. He was up and down that pitch. I did feel from him there was a couple of sloppy passes as well, a couple of sloppy touches, I should say, more than anything. But on the whole, it's been good to see Richarlison with that passion, with that fight, and with a little bit of belief in his soul. He's gone on a bit of a scoring run now. Let's hope that continues. And with the majority of the side right now, especially under Ange Postecoglou, I'm not worried. I know that everybody's going to come in there to do the best they can do and play the Ange way. We also know that some of the players that would come in are limited, are not suited to the Ange way. But you see that if they're on that pitch, then they're going to play the way that they've been asked to play. Do you know what I mean? And there ain't going to be no other way. So, I was happy with the starting lineup. It was good to see Brennan back as well. I thought after the little injury last week, that I was a bit suspect about whether he would start or not, but it was good to see him back in the side.
Rich, any surprise for you in the starting 11?
No, same as Ricky, really. I thought maybe Hojbjerg, just because of how Everton had played over the last 2 or 3 weeks, to offer that steal maybe in midfield. And I think that showed towards the end of the first half when they were taking more control of the ball and finding more space. I think we were very, very wasteful within that midfield area. Sarr was having to do a lot of work chasing balls that we were just giving away. So no, I wasn't surprised.
Any surprises for you, Craig?
No, not at all. I hate going last, honestly. people just come in. Ask me another question. So I'll get a fresh take on something.
Well, Craig, let's go into the match instance. Let's go straight in to Tottenham's first goal after 9 minutes. Pedro Porro to Papa Matar to Johnson to Richarlison. Of course, Richarlison's now scored 4 goals in the last 3 Premier League games. So good to see Richy in this type of form, but a great cross from Brennan Johnson and a great all-round move.
Yeah, 100%. There was one a bit later on that would have, I'm sure it would have been up there for goal of the season. It was almost right from our corner flag. But that free-flowing football, just the little back heels and the flicks, when it comes off, it just looks unbelievable, doesn't it? You look like prime Barcelona when we do that. And unfortunately, it's just in just patches in a game. But it's just a great move, that free-flowing, fast. It's not even counter-attacking. It kind of seems to be the way we play now. And Richarlison did what a proper number 9 would do, is get across that first defender and just slide it in the corner. So yeah, it's great to see him getting his confidence back and scoring a few goals, because I love to have, I've said on here before, I love to have a proper number 9, a proper centre forward there. They think differently to other players, and players playing that might play on the wing that coming inside doing a job. Son, love Son to bits, one of my favourite players of all time at Tottenham. But I've never thought he was a centre forward. He can fill in there and do a job and grab you the odd goal, but his best position's the left. But Richarlison's a proper number 9. He's had his moments where he hasn't played particularly well, but hopefully he's on a run now, and he's going to keep banging in the goals for us if he stays injury free. So yeah, but that goal, really, really good to see, and that's only going to get better as the players learn the moves and where Ange wants them to be. So long may that continue.
Craig, we've seen Richarlison having problems on the pitch and off the pitch, and now, of course, he's in great form. How confident are you that this is going to continue scoring goals and putting in good performances?
As a centre forward, you thrive on confidence, and he must be up there. His confidence must be overflowing at the moment, because he's scoring goals, and that's what it's all about. It sounds simple, but that is what it is. You just need to score goals. Even if you haven't scored for 2, 3, 4 games and one goes in off your backside, it gives you that confidence. But he's actually scoring good goals. He's getting in the positions to score the goals. Yeah, his touch is a bit off sometimes, but we're all used to Harry Kane, Mr. Velcro. I used to like to think of him as, because the ball would be fired to him at a million mile an hour and it'd just stick to him. Yeah. You know, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. Richarlison's touch isn't that good. I'm not sure I've actually seen a player that his first touch is as good as Harry Kane. But, you know, he's doing the job up there. He's putting his job primarily is to score the goals, and he's scoring the goals. You can't ask for anything more than that. So I still would like to see another proper number 9 come in that can push Richarlison. I'd love to get a striker in the transfer window, which I know we'll come on to. But if Richy keeps doing that and he's scoring the goals, he stays in the team. And look, let's face it, we're going to be losing Son for a period of time in January. So even more important for Richarlison to come to the table.
I don't know why you're worried about going last. Richard and Ricky have never referred to any of our players as Mr. Velcro. Rick, let's come to you. After 12 minutes, Brennan Johnson had a chance, put it over the bar. 3 minutes later, McNeil shot wide for Everton. A minute later, Vicario with a brilliant save from Dominic Calvert-Lewin's header. Vicario, I know we've spoken at length about Vicario this season, but I feel that we've got to mention him today, because he made a number of great saves again. And, you know, that sweeper-keeper role, he's always so alert. The communication is absolutely brilliant. I tell you what, we've got one hell of a goalkeeper, haven't we?
We've got one hell of a goalkeeper. My gosh, how lucky we are. And another clutch.
Has he got Mr. Velcro hands?
I didn't want to.
It's not like a Mr. Man. It's not like a Mr. Man. I just mean Velcro, you know. Because you're lucky, because I was going to say Teflon. I got Teflon and Velcro mixed up. You know?
No, but listen, we are super lucky, and another kind of thank you to, and another hand to Mr. Paratici, because my gosh, the what a find. And just think about it, and I think that this is a great example as well for us fans, that when we get kind of caught up on YouTube video highlights of a certain player, and we demand that we pay the money, sort of thing, that we can now trust our scouting department, and we can now trust the people that are put in charge to pick those players and to bring them into the side, because, you know, goalkeeper and a number 9, those are the 2 of the most important positions. You know, there's no hiding for those positions. There's no hiding for those players. And to get a keeper of Vicario's quality for the price that we got him for, and who has grown week in, week out. You know, absolutely. He doesn't just do the basic stuff, the shot stopping and stuff like that. He will have a worldie save in him as well. And, you know, he's grown in leadership. You know, I do not panic when that ball goes back. When the ball is being played around the defence and back to the keeper, I do not panic anymore. Yes, there's going to be, like against West Ham, there's going to be some that fall slightly short and the ricochets fall, you know, for the opposition player, and we might concede. But 9 times out of 10, I do not panic about that ball going backwards. I love his ball control. I love his passing. I love his distribution. I love his calmness. I love his composure on the ball, as well as every other attribute that he's got going. And you know, he's actually kind of implemented leadership into his game as well. I mean, I didn't get to watch the game last week, but I did see highlights of it, and I saw that Vicario got the defense and got them in a huddle and kind of, you know, was building that kind of unity, that solidarity between them. And, you know, long may that continue. I think that we still haven't seen the best of Vicario yet. I think there's still so much more to come. I think, once you've got a settled back four in front of him, once you've got a first team in front of him, you know, I think he's going to shine even more, because I think we'd concede less opportunities, and he'll be there for the worldies. He'll be there for the outside of the box shots. I'm just so happy with him, honestly. And you know, the fact that he continues to grow, the fact that he's trusted, the fact that he's got teammates around him that trust him too, not just the coach and not just us fans sitting there in either in the stands or at home, is a beautiful thing. And you know, Hugo, one of my favourite players, my gosh. But obviously, we can see that it's night and day between them from last year to this year. My gosh, no wonder that the boy is called Venom, because he is everywhere. And, you know, even the weaknesses that we all kind of picked up on before he signed or as he signed, you know, when he parries into the box or you know, he doesn't come out for catches and stuff like that. Well, him and the goalkeeping coaches, they've seen that and they've rectified that and they've worked on that too. So it just continues that kind of build of confidence, not only within him, but within the team, within the coaching staff, within our manager, and with every single player that comes through. That's why, and I know we're going to get onto January transfer window, but that's why I don't care who we bring in as long as they're an Ange player. If they're an Ange player and Ange is like, yes, please, then I don't care what position he is. I don't care how old he is. I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to trust and believe in them, and, you know, and hopefully it'll be another kind of successful signing. But yeah, big props to Big Vic, and I'm just loving him there as a goalkeeper. Long may that continue.
Yeah, well said, Rick. Rich, let's come to you. Of course, Spurs doubled their lead after 18 minutes. Heung-Min Son getting the finish after Brennan Johnson shot at Pickford. He saved, went straight out to Heung-Min Son. Decent goal, decent chance for Spurs, and by that point, it looked like Tottenham were going to be going on to win the game extremely comfortably.
For sure, and we're in the ascendancy then. I think we were controlling the game nicely. I think when you look at how Everton set up initially, they set up with those 5 in midfield, and they were trying to boss the midfield. That first 30 minutes, I didn't think they got a real handle of the kind of movement of our play, and I was really confident that we'd go on and maybe like 3, 4, 5. But then obviously we know what the Premier League's like, and we know how vulnerable you can be as a team 2-0 up. And that's when we did literally need our keeper to pull out those big saves. And I was so nervous. Last 15 minutes, it just was like going, oh my goodness, what's going on here? After that first 35 minutes, we should have been a lot more comfortable. But also, it just shows the resilience that we've got in the team, and that we've moved on. We've moved on from last season, where not only would we conceded the second, but probably lost the game as well.
Rich, you know what? In those last 15 minutes when Danjuma came on, That's when I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And I can hear Anthony Costa in my ear all going, here we go. He's going to fuck. Oh, I was like, oh, come on, please.
Do you know
and
what?
Then he had that shot. I was like, oh, my gosh. Go on, Chris.
Do you know what? Craig and I, together with James Black a couple of weeks ago, did a podcast with The Sun. And they asked a question, will Spurs lose that Spursy tag under Ange Postecoglou? I'm really confident of that. And if you've seen the podcast, I actually say on it, I hate that term Spursy. But these are the sorts of games that we would have lost before. I know you need a little bit of luck in football, and I believe that we got that luck certainly today. But, you know, to be sitting where we are in the Premier League table, you know, coming up to the halfway point of this Premier League season and we all feel exactly the same, I'm sure. You know, injuries, suspensions, as we've already spoken about and have done in recent weeks and months. But I think there's so much more to come. But Ricky and Rich and of course, Craig, do you think we are going to lose that Spursy tag finally under Ange?
I definitely do. I definitely think we've moved on from that. I also think that we've been in every game that we've played. Every game we've played. So that look that we've got today, we've earned that look because we overran Villa when we played them. God knows how we didn't win that game. And it goes round and comes round. And I believe now, you look at the teams that are playing well within the league. You look at those teams. They have games, moments that go against them, games, moments that go for them. And I think for us, we need to look at this game as a real building block to lose that Spursy label and actually come out of it going, actually, we feel we can win every game. And whether we're down or whether we're up, we just need to stay on the philosophy of the manager and continue to push forward.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, 100%. The only reason that, well, I hate that word as well, Chris. The only reason it just fits so well is because our name ends in an S when you call us Spurs. It's easy to put a Y on the end, isn't it? So it just, any other team, you know, you put a Y on the end, it just doesn't sound right. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But the thing for me, we blast out the blocks at 100 mile an hour, and you just can't sustain that pace. I don't care how fit you are for 90 odd minutes. And that first half hour in the game is when we need to get the games buried. That's why it looks like we drop off. It's because the players just can't run at that. What did I say? RC. Yeah, I'll stand corrected. But you know that's tough to keep up that pace for 90 odd minutes. So when we blast teams away in the first half hour, and it will happen. We've seen it happen. You know that's when the players can relax and not worry about getting the third or fourth goal. Because I think today, like I said earlier, if we got that third goal, I think that would have been game over. But when it's 2-0, they're always in it.
Also, with the old Spursy tag, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, if I'm honest. What I think is going to happen is that it's going to lose its power. So the more people, you know, because rival fans will always wait for us to fall. It doesn't matter when we fall; they can't wait for us to fall. And you know, when we had that dip, you know, the Chelsea game, the Spursy tag was coming out. You know, there's only 2 games this season where I can really kind of say that we wasn't at it, and we didn't look like an Ange Postecoglou Tottenham way side, and that's Fulham in the cup. And Wolves, when we played Wolves, we didn't look like ourselves. We looked like a Conte side against Wolves. But I think week in, week out, I think that Spursy tag is going to lose its power. So when you say it, it's almost going to look like you're an idiot. Why are you saying that? Because you know what just happened. I mean, when we played West Ham, you know, they considered that a Spursy because they did not touch the ball for 45 minutes. That first half, they didn't even turn up. Do you know what I mean? I think they were still on the motorway. I don't know where they were, but they weren't on the field for those first 45 minutes, and they should never have come out with a win. Yeah. Jesus.
Do you know what, Rick? You could help us. You could help us lose this Spursy tag by lifting that trophy on Dancing on Ice. How
Don't do that to me. What you do? It's going well. It's going really well. I'm super happy with how far I've come along this journey. I mean, day one, I was -2. I was holding on to the sides. You know, I had splinters in my fingernails because of how much I was holding on to the sides and that. But like right now, I'm going backwards, forwards. I'm doing turns. I've done a jump. I'm like, what? And half of the time I'll come home and I was like, how the hell did that happen? What was I doing today? You know, but I'm trying not to think about all the negative voices in my head. Like, you can't do that. You're going to fall. You're going to hurt yourself. Or that's dangerous. Or that I'm not listening to any of it. I'm just kind of going, okay, cool. They show me what they want me to do. And then I just keep trying it until I get it. And it's crazy.
Taken off the crash helmet yet?
Bro, I took off the crash helmet the first day I met my partner. So I was fully kitted up. I was going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Mate, I had elbow pads. I had a wrist support with a metal thing that if I fall, it doesn't hurt the wrist. I had the knee pads going. I had the helmet on, and I was happy to have a Velcro. I was happy to wear it. And then the first day I met Annette, I've like got the elbows on, right? And I've gone to put the helmet on, and she looks at me. She's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "You know what? It's nothing. I was just trying it on. Do you know what? I'm gonna put it back in my bag." I thought, yeah, mate. She was like, no. And then I thought to myself, well, I've got to take it off at some point, so it might as well be now. So ever since then, we've cracked on without any safety equipment. But it's going really well. There's a lot that are ahead of me. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot that are a lot better at skating. But my journey itself, from day one to where I am, I'm super happy. And fingers crossed we keep pushing it forward like the boss. No ceiling, no floors, and let's see where we go.
Well, if you don't follow Ricky on Instagram, do so, because he gives us all daily updates on the Dancing on Ice stuff. So it's great to see. Craig, let's come back to you, because in that last 10 minutes or so of the second half, Everton did have a number of opportunities. Garner with a shot from range, easy for Vicario. In the 41st minute, Everton attack. But there were two balls on the pitch at that point, and the player wasn't, I can't remember what player it was, but he wasn't very happy, the fact that he didn't know what ball to hit. A minute later, Garner with another shot, the goalkeeper, Vicario saved. Vicario saved again from Harrison after an Everton break. How are you feeling at that point? Because most people from where, around me were saying, Tottenham just need half-time. They just need the half-time whistle. They need to go in, regroup, and probably get a good rollicking off Ange Postecoglou.
100% that. Yeah. That's exactly how I felt watching it. The half-time break can't come quick enough. We were on the ropes then. And I think if they'd scored, it would have been a completely different second half. And the second half was bad enough for us as it was. We didn't have as many good chances, and the players looked knackered. So I think it was important to get to the half at 2-0 with no goals conceded. It's an interesting fact about that ball on the pitch. They said on the stream I was watching that it actually doesn't. It's up to the referee to stop the game if he thinks the ball on the pitch is interfering with play, which it clearly was. Then he should have stopped the game. But obviously he didn't see it because the ball was over the other side. So anyway, it is what it is. The geezer missed.
When that ball was thrown back on, Romero did actually look back and was about to get rid of it. But then he realised that Everton were on the attack, and he thought, no, I better sort this out instead of this ball. And then the ball stayed there. And then I thought it's going to be interesting if Everton do attack in that area. But the ball ended up more or less where the other ball was.
Yeah. Beach ball moment, right?
Yeah, it was funny. It would be really interesting if that had if he had kicked the other ball, that had gone in. I mean, God, who knows? That would take some sorting out. The VAR probably still be sorting it out now. But yeah, we did need that half time, didn't we? It was getting a bit tense there. So it was just, I'm sure Ange wanted to get the players in, give them a talking to, and go out the second half with a plan. But Everton have been so good the last 3 or 4 games because since his 10-point deduction, it's kind of galvanised them, and Dyche's got them playing really good. Everton are no mugs, He's got them playing well, so there's no two ways about it. It was a good win today. We were under strength, and they were. I don't know if they've got any injuries. I'm sure they have, like everybody else, but they've been playing well. So that's no small feat today.
Rick, let's come to you. Of course, Eric Dier played the second half because Ange made a half-time sub. We were 2-0 up at this point. Romero going off, Dier coming on. Probably a few surprised people at that point, but Romero, shortly after the break, came out of the tunnel with an ice pack round his hamstring. So hopefully he will be okay. And of course, later on in the game, Richarlison come off holding his back. So hopefully he's okay as well, because we certainly don't need any more injuries. I wanted to ask you about Eric Dier, his performance today, and whenever he's been called upon by Ange this season. What have you made of his performances?
It's kind of tough to describe. For me, I think the best word to kind of say is bitty. Sometimes he's a bit okay. Sometimes he's a bit not okay. I think it's a bit easy, especially playing that high line, to kind of get the ball past him, which is it's not really his fault. He's never had pace, So when them balls go over the top or just beside him, and you've got a tricky, pacey winger stroke striker on his back, it's always going to be tough. But his professionalism, as well as Hojbjerg as well, I'll chuck Hojbjerg into that as well, because both of their professionalism has been on point. They've always been there for the side. They'll always put their bodies on the line. I don't see them kind of hiding away or kind of trying to kind of shy away from the ball or a challenge or a potential injury that could scupper a move in January for them both. They're both been very professional. I think they do have a love for Tottenham. And I think that it's really difficult for both of those players who were up until this season nailed on starters, really, for most managers. But yeah, so I've got to give it to Dier for kind of always being there, for always being a professional, for always putting everything out there. Some of his abilities, especially playing the Ange way, doesn't really fit. No. But yeah, you got to give it to him. And another one, like I want to say about Hojbjerg as well. I've always felt that Hojbjerg's got a lot more stick than he's deserved. Yes, you can critique him. Yes, there's times where he hasn't played the best.
Can I just say before you go on? I think it's very, very fair to say an honest assessment of any player that perhaps don't want to be at the club, or they perhaps want to move out of the club. Anytime that Ange has called upon any of these players within this squad, they have given absolutely everything. And Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, who you were coming on to there, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, and perhaps you're going to say the same thing, but whenever someone like Hojbjerg has been called on, he has been super professional, never ever sulked. I know I said earlier that he's gone down the tunnel. Perhaps he doesn't feel, as he should do as part of the squad. But every single time he's been called upon, every single time he's given Tottenham minutes, he's performed.
Oh, absolutely. And from the moment that he turned up, we've been on this pod and we've spoken about it year in, year out. But, the moment that he turned up, even though there was midfielders beside him, there was only one man in midfield, and that was Hojbjerg. And he got ran into the ground. And he's like that. He's a very professional guy. He's been through the ups. He's been through the downs. He's built himself into first team positions everywhere he's gone, And I tell you now, there are some sides out there that would love Hojbjerg. I think he could do a fantastic job for Man United, for instance, who need somebody like that in the midfield to kind of protect and serve. Even, and I know this is a crazy one, and maybe I've been on the Christmas sherry, but even something like someone like Man City, who are without Rodri for a while, someone who's industrial like that and always gives everything. And he's looking for a forward pass, but his main instinct is to get it away. But I think he could do a job there. I love Hojbjerg. I love his professionalism. I love that he's given everything for us whenever he's come onto the pitch. And I think that's respected by Ange Postecoglou. Like you said there, he might not feel like he's part of the team as such. And that's why he's going off at the end of the games by himself. But you don't see that on the pitch. I've never seen him sulk on the pitch. I've never seen him when he's come on or when he started to shy away from anything. And that's why you've got to give him love and respect, because he's always done the best that he could possibly do for us whenever he's been on the field. Now, this style of play doesn't really work for Hojbjerg, but I still prefer him over Skippy in that position. I still think he gives us more than Skippy, if I'm honest. You know, I know Skippy hasn't got a run. I know he hasn't got that many minutes. I know we haven't seen the best of him for a while in a Spurs shirt. But, you know, I think Hojbjerg is the man. I think he's fantastic. And if he does end up going in January, I'd wish him all the best. And we all know he's going to go on to win a trophy in whatever bloody well team he's going to go into. But yeah, it's the same with the both of them. You know, maybe their abilities are not what we need or want right now in the side, but both Dier and Hojbjerg, you've got to give it up to them for kind of giving everything and being a true professional, regardless of their future or regardless of their opinion of them within the club, you know?
Rich, let's come to you. In the 51st minute, Everton thought they had a goal back. Calvert-Lewin put the ball in the net, and then it went to VAR. Checking goal, possible foul. Emerson Royale was on the floor. Being honest, was that a foul?
So from the TV, it was soft, but he definitely played him and not the ball. And the pass from Vicario to Emerson was a challenging pass to control for sure, and it did kind of move away from him. That gave the attacking player a little bit more chance to obviously intercept. I felt it was a foul. I felt it was a foul. So I was relieved when it was disallowed for sure, because 2-1 at that stage would have changed the dynamic of the game for sure.
Craig, can I ask you the same question? Do you think it was a foul?
I agree with what Rich said. It was a soft one, but it was a foul essentially, and VAR obviously looked at it quite quickly and sent the referee over to the monitor to have a look, because it was a clear and obvious error. It wasn't like it was 4 or 5 passes beforehand. It was the one pass that led to the goal. So yeah, 100% for me, it was a foul. It was soft, but it was a foul.
Well, I've actually asked former Premier League referee Mark Housey, who refereed in the Premier League between 1999 and 2013, about VAR and the officiating this season, because, of course, it really has dominated the back pages and podcasts like this. Of course, everyone has been talking about VAR all season. Mark also provides his thoughts on refereeing Tottenham games at White Hart Lane.
Hi Chris and everybody at the Spurs Chat podcast. My name is Mark Halsey, former Premier League and FIFA referee. You want my thoughts on VAR? Well, I think at this present moment, I think it has to have one of those. It is so inconsistent. Now, the system itself is good. It's here to stay. It's the personnel that's operating it. And as I said, it's so inconsistent. I think they don't know when to get involved and when not to get involved. And it's the training and education of the system and that needs improving from our referees. I think the standard of officiating, I think it's dropped. We have got some good referees. I think we've got some excellent referees in Andy Taylor. Michael Oliver's our number one, and obviously Chris Kavanagh coming up behind. But it's down to the coaching and education. We need proper coaches. I always say good coaches turn average players into good players into excellent players. That's no different with referees. Obviously, it's a Spurs podcast. I used to love refereeing at White Hart Lane. Used to love it. I mean, the fans were always kind to me. I don't think I ever got a crossword out of them. I got the referees a few occasions, but other than that, I think I was always okay there. I always remember refereeing the 2-2 draw v Arsenal, where Robbie Keane got involved, I think, with Jans Lehmann, when I gave you a penalty right last kick of the game, made it 2-2. That was a fantastic game. But I think my most memorable game with Tottenham is the first League Cup final back at the new Wembley. That was the first one there. That's when you played Chelsea. What a day, what a game. I was the referee, by the way. I think you most probably know that I was the referee, but what a day, what a game, what an atmosphere. Absolutely fantastic. The game just sailed past. There was no controversies. That's what every referee asked for. But what a day. And I know you ran out winners 2-1 after extra time. What a day. what a weekend for me and my family. It was fabulous, and I'm sure you enjoyed the weekend as well, celebrating after the game with your friends and family. But I'd like to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Have a great time with all your friends and family. Stay safe, behave yourselves, and take care. All the very best.
We're now joined by Tottenham. Happy Christmas, guys! Come on,
Come on, you Spurs.
Oh, Sandro.
How is the heart?
Oh,
Yeah.
beating fast.
That was tough.
Oh man, was
Sandro, what did you make of the game today?
yeah. The first half, I thought we're gonna win easily, like always we think.
Yeah.
But in the end was, oof. But it's still good, huh?
We're up there.
And yes,
Everton a good team.
To see everybody back, to see Maatson back, Van der Ven, to see Betancourt, Bissouma. Oh, let's go, guys.
Let's go.
Sandro,
Come
on
on.
the podcast in January, so I look forward to having him on then.
Yeah,
Sandro,
come on.
have a great Christmas.
You too. Take care, guys.
See you soon.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Such a great guy.
Top man.
Wow. Wait, man. Chris, we've got to big you up there for just finding Sandro and bringing him onto the show. This is an amazing thing. Like, you know, we're all born fans. We all love this club inside out. And for you to go home and away and to be able to have a relationship with the man mountain known as Sandro, the monster, my gosh. And just to bring him on that, not for all the fans listening and watching right now, but for me. And for Craig and for Rich, it's great to see. We've just been on a podcast with Sandro. What's just happened? Merry Christmas, everybody.
Brilliant.
He's such a lovely guy, but we've agreed that he's going to come on the podcast in January, so really do looking forward to that. Rich, regarding Mark House's comments, he spoke there about the 2008 League Cup final, of course, the last trophy we won. He sounded pretty much like a Spurs fan, didn't he?
I think so. That's it. He's paying. That's it.
Fabio's got him on the payroll.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. No, and it's obviously great to know that that referees and officials obviously enjoy coming to the stadium to embrace the atmosphere. And yes, if you're on the wrong end of a good beating, then sometimes you call the officials in for a little bit of banter, but no, for me, I think towards the end of his career, he did get a bit slow though. I remember watching him a couple of games towards the end of his career, and I was thinking, where is the referee? He's back at the other end of the pitch. He was getting a bit slow, but it's nice to hear though, isn't it? It's nice to hear that officials have got that love for the club like we have, and reminiscing about those classic games. Especially the ones against obviously Chelsea and Arsenal, the ones that we've not always had the best of successes with.
Craig, let's come to you in the 56th minute. Sarr had a shot from 20 yards. Pickford spilled it, but it was then cleared. 6 minutes later, Garner shot wide after a good Everton move. In the 63rd minute, Hojbjerg came on. Richarlison went off. With Hojbjerg, do you expect Hojbjerg to leave in the January transfer window? I know we're going to talk about the window shortly, but with Hojbjerg, you know, we've already spoken about whenever called upon by Ange, he's always given 100%. He's, very professional. What do you think? How do you think Ange changed the game in the 63rd minute by bringing on Hojbjerg?
I think he just brings on a steady performer, a steady pair of hands, somebody he trusts clearly. Probably not ideal for the Ange system, but he always does a job, and he's always done a job. Like you say, he's professional when he's come on. I actually felt quite relieved Hojbjerg was coming on today because it needed that sort of player to come in and do that. And bearing in mind at that point we did have Dier and Davies at the back, and I thought, especially Davies, I thought he had a pretty solid game. Dier was okay. But I think Davies looks better when he's got a better defender next to him, somebody like a Romero, and I think that raises his game.
Can we big up Ben Davies? Because I said on last week's podcast against Nottingham Forest, he had a great performance then again. He is yet another one taking his opportunity under Ange whenever called upon, and Ange raves about Ben Davies. week in, week out in the press conferences. He says he's one of the best trainers. He certainly gives everything. And Ange recently said he understands so much about the game. I think Ben Davies this season has been very, very underrated. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. He's been outstanding. I would go as far as say the last few games, stepping in for somebody, such a big player like Van der Ven, and Ben Davies clearly hasn't. I mean, Ben Davies isn't slow, by the way. He's not really slow, but Van der Ven just makes everybody look slow, doesn't he? Because you expect, that pace just gets him out of so much trouble. So to come in and cover such a big player for us, he's done a cracking job. And I think he looked even better when Romero came back from suspension. He's just been really good this season. I don't want to see Ben Davies leave. I think he's more than ample good cover for Mickey, to be honest with you. It's the right side. We clearly need reinforcement. So, yeah, I think when Ben Davies does eventually hang his boots up, I think you'll probably look back in 5 or 10 years when he goes and think, what a absolute proper club sort of legend Ben Davies has become. And you'll look back on him with fond memories. And I know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I know he's had some bad games, but for me, the good, solid performances outweigh the bad with Ben Davies, and he's a Spurs lad, really, isn't he? Now, he'll look back on his career and say Tottenham was his favourite place to play. Or he would have gone years ago. He's been here. How long's he been here? A decade, at least, is he? 10 years. So, not many players stay around that long. So he clearly loves the club, and he's just been great the last few weeks.
I think the only thing that I would add to that would be that he is vulnerable at that cross ball, especially with strikers like Calvert-Lewin, Watkins, the ones that are quite dominant with the head. He looked like he was just kind of throwing his body into the ball. He wasn't trying to kind of dominate the situation. So, but obviously he's moving into a real key position. And I felt even with Dier on the pitch today, he was a leader at the back for sure. I think going back to what you said about like Dier and Hojbjerg, I think they're very static as players. And with Ange's system, Dier gets caught out because he's facing the wrong way or because he's not moving his feet fast enough. And that's one of the things that I've noticed, that when he's come in, he has still been very vulnerable. I know a lot of the fans are scared when he comes on going, oh, on the ball, he's going to play it long and he's going to have 2 or 3 touches. He's not as confident on the ball, but very static at the back. And I think Ben Davies can hold his head up this year, because when he's come in, he's not been that steady Davies 7 out of 10. He's been more than that, to be honest. And you need to have those players within the team. You need to have those people that come in, that do a job in any position when asked by the manager. And clearly he's one of those players that can adapt. I think the players that will leave are the ones that have not been able to adapt, and they'll be Dier, Hojbjerg, I think.
Do you know what? I was just going to say, over his 10 years, I think he's always been underrated, Davies. I don't think we've ever really given him the credit. I don't think he's ever been like the first starting left back in our minds when we pick a predicted 11 or a centre back or anything like that. But if you see him every year, he's given everything that the manager has asked of him. I mean, he was the best defender, left-sided defender in the Conte back 3. I thought he was much better than Langley. I preferred Davies in there to Langley many a time. And that was not just because of his kind of commitment, but he's also kind of his reliability. His will to improve. His will to kind of look at his own game and go, okay, cool. How can I help the team first and foremost, which you always need in a squad player? But how can I kind of use my attributes to kind of take it up a notch? And in a Conte back 3, I loved him as that left-sided centre back. But then you look at him in a 2, which was a worry for us all. And the first couple of games, it took him a while to kind of get used to it. But he's gone from strength to strength, and he's not a centre back. So there are going to be times when he's not going to be able to get his head on the ball or have that centre back kind of mentality. But he's always there. And you can see, like Chris said there as well, that why every single manager has loved him.
Rick, let's stay with you, because in the 65th minute, Son laid the ball off to Papa Matasar. The shot was blocked. 73rd minute gone. Lo Celso came on for Sarr. 2 minutes later, Kulusevski shot Pickford with a good save. Now, one thing that I've really noticed, certainly in the last couple of games, is some of the shithousery from some of these players. You know, Son taking down a player at Forest. Haven't ever seen that before. Kulusevski today, a number of times, just flicking the ball away, kicking the ball away, even throwing the ball away sometimes, and just having a bit of a tussle with some of the players. Haven't really seen that before from him. Is this all down to Ange, or are these players toughening up a little bit?
I think it's a bit of both, but I definitely think it's implemented by Ange. But if we remember from the Amazon documentary, what was Mourinho's biggest critique of the side and of the squad at that point? That we were too nice and too honest in that sense. You know, like we didn't do, and it's not like fully dive into the dark arts, but we didn't do the little things that managed the game like that, or that took the sting out of the game, or took the sting out of the momentum that the opposition have. And you're seeing that little bit by little bit. Now we are getting punished for it as well. We are getting the odd yellow here and there. And, you know, we know what those suspensions look like, and we know how valuable every single player is to this squad. But you can definitely see that they're not just a bunch of nice guys anymore. And, you know, to be fair to the boys, we've been top of the Fair Play League and we've been up there for the coefficient many a season. But what has it got us? Do you know what I mean? So if we can mix that up a little bit, if we can have a bit of balance with that, and because I don't think that we're a dirty side, I don't think that we're a nasty side in that element. I don't think that we go out to play that type of football, but there has to be balance in life and on the pitch, you know. So if they're kind of measured and mature about what decisions they're making where, and you know, if they really do help the team in a transition, then okay, fine, you know. But every other side does it, and nobody kind of complains about it. Nobody bats an eyelid about it. It's only when Tottenham do it that suddenly, you know, there's a bit of noise about it. But I'm used to that. I'm used to that. So let's not worry about anybody else. Let's carry on worrying about ourselves. And as long as those boys know what they're doing and playing with, you know, balance rather than going past the line, then I don't see it being a problem.
Rich, let's come to you. In the 77th minute, Gomez hit the side netting, and then just 5 minutes later, he got Everton's goal. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think as the ball came out to him, I think we did switch off a little bit. Obviously, that's the first goal that we've conceded from a corner as well. And I know Skippy was probably the only one that tried to block the shot. That always worries me, those crosses that them kind of bounce in the area, come out to a player, and then they hit it. It was a great strike, clearly, with power, hence the reason why it beat Vicario. But those are those kind of mistakes that creep back in when you lose your focus. And I think that time of the game, you could see that coming. That was an inevitable part of the losing the ball, them gaining confidence. Obviously, Gomez was one of those players that he came on, he started to dictate a lot of the play. So was I surprised? No. I think a little bit of frustration with obviously how it happened, but it was inevitable. But obviously, reaction for that was right. We let him one. Let's kind of really kind of batten down the hatches, boys. We all need to come together and kind of be that barrier to stop anything going in the goal from now on. And it literally was like that for the last 20 minutes.
Well, 2 minutes after Everton got one back, Vicario made another great save, and the crowd at that point was singing his name. And then in the 89th minute, Johnson to Son, the flick wasn't enough, and then it was cleared. And then, of course, that incident with Danjuma, he could have made it 2-2, but I think a little bit of luck were on Tottenham's side today. So, of course, we won the game 2-1. Ange Postecoglou in his press conference, talking about Vicario, he said his saves were crucial for us. He's been brilliant again. And given an update on Richarlison limping off, Postecoglou has just said, yes, he's okay. He had a sore back yesterday in training. He wasn't 100%, but he was keen to start the game today. Craig, let's come to you. Let's talk a little bit now about the January transfer window. In Ange Postecoglou's press conference on Friday, he said January is going to be a tricky month. Got a short clip now from the press conference. This is what Ange had to say.
Yeah, don't really know. I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, January is a fairly tricky month in terms of clubs doing business. But we're doing sort of our background work now, and once the window opens, we'll see whether we can make an impact in it or not.
Craig, what are you expecting in the January transfer window? What is the true definition of backing Ange in January?
Literally just what Ricky said earlier, giving him the players that he wants. I would love to get 3 in and then see what outgoings, if they want to let anybody go. But I still maintain, I think we need a decent quality centre-back, a striker, and perhaps a centre midfielder of some description, even if it's just 6-month loan, just to see us through January and early February, because obviously we don't actually know when Madders and Bentancur are going to be back, for example, and obviously we're losing Sarr, and Bissouma. So it's just getting him in the players that he wants, I think, and they're not going to be probably household names, but he's kind of proved that he doesn't need that. It just give him the players for his system and the players that he wants, and he'll turn. It's like Mark Halsey said, he turn good players into great players. That's spot on. I think Ange does that. Ange does obviously coach these players, or his coaching staff coaches these players, and it's great to see that because players have improved under him, but perhaps they're just being let off the leash and actually playing the way that everybody wants to play, and perhaps that's creating this wonderful atmosphere and feel good feet. I mean, that defensive line today scares the life out of me sometimes, but having that defensive line on the halfway line, it's just so different, isn't it? It's so good to see, because under Conte we'd have been on the 18-yard box. Seriously, it's such a difference. But man, oh man, it's fun times. It's fun times, and we get these players in. We can go places. I'm not going to use the T word though, Chris. I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more to go before we talk about trophies. FA Cup, perhaps we'll talk about that. Ricky, I think that, when we look at past transfer windows, a lot of Spurs fans always say we need to go out and spend big, we need to go out and spend the money. This hasn't actually worked a lot of the time. When you take into account our record signing Tanguy Ndombele, of course you can spend big and it doesn't work out. But it's about the recruitment, isn't it? It's about the recruitment in January. It's a key month for the football club because, of course, we want to be playing Champions League football. In your opinion, what is really going to help Ange?
I think that what is really going to help Ange and what's going to define backing Ange, I don't think it's how much we spend. I don't think it's I don't think we need to spend crazy money on a player to kind of secure that. I think it's more about timing. I think if we can get them in the first week of the transfer window, I think that's going to make a major difference to us. Not only for those new players to come in, embed in and learn the system and then to kind of express themselves within that system, but to also kind of, stake your claim. This is the difficult period. And I think that's the biggest thing that Ange has wanted. When you hear him speaking in a press conference, it's like, can we get it done early? Can we kind of do it early enough so that we don't lose our momentum, so that we can actually build on our momentum, so that we can carry on going forward rather than, stringing the squad that we've got, rinsing them to the very last drop until the end of January, and then kind of going, all right, and cool, transfer deadline day, here's 2 or 3 for you, I'll work it out. And then going into February, it just becomes messy, So I think whoever Ange wants, first and foremost, like I said earlier, I'm going to be happy with, as long as he's ticked them off. I don't want a body in there just for body's sake. I don't think that's going to help us. A bit like Danjuma. I don't think it's going to help us. I think as long as they're the right profile of player, and Ange Postecoglou kind of picks them out as somebody that can help the system and somebody that can help move us forward, I think it's going to be great. But as long as you try and get them within the first week, which we all know, being football fans, is super difficult. It is super bloody well difficult to do any business in January, but let alone in the first week. If they can do that, though, I think that we're onto a winner. And I think that, you know, the longer that Ange has got these new players under his wing, I think, again, we can just continue to carry on pushing.
Rich, what are you hoping for in January?
Yeah, I'm hoping that Santa comes to my house. You're going to get a new home shirt with Davies on the back as well and get rid of that Doherty one, Chris.
I support every single player that plays for Tottenham Hotspur. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I tell you, if anybody wants to send Chris a free shirt, he'll happily display it on the next podcast.
No problem at all.
Yeah, what am I hoping for January? Yes, like Ricky said, obviously we need to build on the players we've got and not just have numbers just for the sake of it. So the players that come in, I think what's going to happen is the players that come in are going to be either players that the manager can work with to build with, but will also come in and slot in as a level that we're at now. We clearly need another centre back, a striking position. I'm not sure we're going to get in January of the ilk that we want, but I feel that the players that and positions that we're looking at, the management has already got their scouting team involved in the kind of negotiations to kind of the availability already. It feels like that when we're scouting players now, that there's a plan. It's not reactive. It's not. Do you know when you hear about this chain of reactions that happens in transfers, when this player goes, this one then becomes available, etc., etc. For Spurs, that has happened a lot, where we've got a player in because somebody else has gone to that club. That player's now available. They come to us and they're just mediocre. They don't want to leave that club and they don't even do a job for us. I think this time things have changed. Obviously the club is attractive to play for Spurs now. The manager, the philosophy of that manager, and also other players can see the build. They can, because the manager's shaping that, and that's what's really important. So I think whoever the manager wants, let's back him. The board, back him, please. That would make me happy. That would make everybody here happy for sure. And let's kind of have a great 2024, because I can feel it. I can feel some great happening.
Certainly, well said, Rich. We've now got a clip from Matt Mackay, who is a former Australian international. He played under Ange Postecoglou at Brisbane Roar and Australia. And the key comment that Matt says here is you want to run through brick walls for Ange Postecoglou. Have a listen to this.
Hi Chris, Matt Mackay here. Now, you want my thoughts on Ange. Obviously, he's doing incredibly well at Spurs at the moment. You know, his team talks in the past, and I know the players there will be appreciating his team talks. He just wants you to run, you want to run through a brick wall after you've had the chat. He's incredibly motivational, but he also has the tactics to back it up, and it's quite clear that the players have bought into that. And the best thing for those players and players there now is their careers have changed because they're under this incredible manager who gives them a new lease of life, and they're probably playing the best football they have their whole career. So he's great for the club. So I know everyone's going to be worth more, and hopefully the results can continue and you can get further up the ladder. From playing in the national team with him and club football, his tactics are very similar, or the ethos and how he wants to play the game. He wants high movement, high ball movement, retention, and then he's built in along the years to be a bit more direct and being able to play that pass forward and get as many chances as possible. So he's clearly doing that, and you're very lucky to have him. Definitely one of the best managers I've ever had, and a great guy as well. Very understanding and nurturing for all the players, and if you get on his right side and you work hard, he'll appreciate that. So all the best for the rest of the season. Take care.
Craig, let's come to you on that point. You mentioned the T word. When you hear players like that talk about Ange Postecoglou, you know, and we are where we're at, you know, 6-7 months after him taking the job here at Spurs. Surely the trophies are coming soon, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. You know, I've been on here and said that. I mean, we've all got excited about trophies at the beginning of the season. You'll think new year, new start, and everything. But I don't know. I've just got a different feeling about this manager and this bunch of players. And as Rich said, as he moulds this team, as we get that squad together, just a different feeling. I'm going into games now, like you said, Chris. I think feeling that we're going to win every game, with that confidence we're going to win every game, we're going to challenge in every game, and I haven't had that for the last 2-3 years. So if I'm feeling like that and he's got me believing, what are the players going to be thinking? And he's such a great motivator and a talker, Ange. He's so interesting when you watch his press conferences. He's not repeating and rehashing old stuff and coming out with cliches. It's new stuff. The amount of stuff that's going around in that guy's head, and that he knows what to say and he knows when to say it. It's just incredible. So, yeah, I think the trophies could be coming, Chris. Just going back to the how close it was, though, today with Vicario's save. Have you got a picture of that ball that nearly crossed the line at the end there, Chris? You could put up for the viewers on YouTube, because there you go. That's how close it was. I think it might have come off. I think Vicario saved it with his with his male parts, with his let's say his thigh. It looked like it could have been. Watch it on Match of the Day later. It was a phenomenal save. He saved with every part.
A save is a save, mate.
A save is a save. So
with
that
his
is how close
Velcro
it was. But with his Velcro balls, yeah. And on that note, I'll hand back to Chris. But I'm not going to say I'm guaranteed the trophies are coming, because you can't say that. They're closer than they have been for a number of years.
But you know what? I think that's why, like, Sonny being captain is perfect, because Sonny is somebody who kind of represents everything that Ange is about when it comes down to football. You know, it's not only the hard work, it's not only the determination, but it's heart, it's care. And when you can motivate somebody like that through their heart rather than their brain, I mean, Rich, you as an athlete will know. Do you know what I'm trying to get to? When you can get inside, and even that video that Sonny done during the week, I don't know whether you saw it. He got a letter. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. It is a bit of a tearjerker. It will hit you inside. But Sonny done a fan mail, it was called. He basically got a letter from 2 daughters. The dad had always taken them to Tottenham Hotspur. The dad has got cancer, and the time that they forgot about cancer or any of their troubles and woes was when they went to football. And you could see how much that emotionally affected Sonny. And then what he done with that family afterwards. You know, that wasn't a PR stunt. You know, that wasn't, scripted. You know, nobody told Sonny, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to take the family or whatever like that. Everything came within their heart. Everything came from within. And I feel that not only Sonny, that will encourage Sonny, but that will encourage Ange to take that example and use that as a motivation. Use that within one of the speeches. Use that when we're on the ropes, and kind of go, just remember who's out there watching you. Just remember how much it means to those people out there. And if it means that much to that family, then think about what it means to the whole stadium and everybody watching at home. And I think that's going to spur them on. That's why I think that Ange and Sonny, they're a perfect partnership. It's perfect manager and perfect captain to kind of represent what Tottenham is right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Chris has been kicked out.
He's been kicked out of the nightclub.
We're now going to preview the Tottenham Hotspur v Brighton game, which of course will be played at the Amex Stadium in 5 days' time. Before I get your thoughts, we're just going to hear the thoughts from Mark Lawrenson, who played for Brighton between 1977 and 1981, and of course former BBC pundit.
Hi Chris and everyone at the Spurs Chat podcast. Now, a few questions you've asked me about Brighton, because you play them at the end of December, don't you? I had 4 wonderful years there, but if you remember, then they had a massive decline, and in the end, basically they were phoenix from the ashes in many, many ways when they happened to get away with that result against Hereford, I think it was, that kept them just in the league, right at the very bottom. So where they are now has been absolutely brilliant. We know they've been fantastic in recruitment and sales, etc., and all those kind of things. But, you know, I look at your team and I look at Postecoglou, and you know what, to be honest with you, he reminds me a little bit of Jurgen Klopp. And I hate that thing where they say, oh yeah, he's just like Klopp and he's all those kind of things. But he is. He plays a particular way and it's very stylish and it's very, very attacking. And I think he's a very, very good manager. If we ever lose Klopp, I'd take him tomorrow. And I know you're saying to me, will you win a trophy with him? I would have thought you will. It might not be this season, but hopefully for yourselves, it could possibly be next season. I can't speak highly enough of him. Lost Kane just before the deadline. Made a few buys, obviously, as well. Lost all sorts of players. He plays a particular way, and it's just great to watch. You know, if you're a neutral and you've no interest in Spurs whatsoever, you turn on the telly to watch him play. Playing at Brighton, I'm going to have to go for a Brighton win, boys. I'm sorry about that. But, you know, you're on the way up, most definitely. And as long as he stays with you and he gets the backing that he should get, you'll be great. Happy Christmas, by the way.
Happy Christmas, but you're going to lose.
Ricky, let's come to you first. I know you'll probably give your comments on what Mark said there, but when you look at Brighton's form so far, it's not what we're used to seeing in the Premier League in recent seasons. In their last 6, they've won 2, they've drawn 2, and they've lost 2. They seem to be quite inconsistent at the moment. Their most recent result being a 1-1 draw away at Crystal Palace. What sort of game do you expect in 5 days' time away from home?
I think it's going to be a kind of celebration of football. I think that Brighton, ever since they lost their kind of left back and right back, Estepinian, and I can't remember who was playing on the right back then. But a lot of their attacks and a lot of their overlapping play comes from, as we know, being at Tottenham with Udogie and Porro, a lot of their attacks come from their left and right backs and those overlapping to kind of create space as well. So I think they've been a different side since they lost those players there. But they're another side that are going to go out to play football. They're going to be looking to play forward attacking football. They're not going to look to sit in. They're not going to look for a low block. They're not going to look to hold on. They're going to look to play. And that's what De Zerbi brings to the table. They have lost a little bit of form. They have been kind of stumbling along the last couple of games. But I always think now that we pose the opposition more questions than they do to us. You know, they've got to worry about what we bring to the table more than what we've got to worry about what they bring to the table, which I prefer. I've always said that, you know, let the opposition worry about you. Don't worry about the opposition. Of course, there will be plans of kind of how to kind of defend against them and how to play against them. But we pose more questions than them. And I think that we're going to do that on match day as well. Do you want me to checkmate? 734 has just dropped a comment saying, does Chris get to sleep at the Tottenham Stadium? Do you know what? The amount of time that he's there, I'm surprised that he doesn't, let me tell you. And they can't build that hotel quick enough for good old Chris.
The panels. You see the panels?
Yeah, the panels. Chris and the bloody well panels, we've missed them. Chris, do you want my prediction now, brother?
Go for it.
So I see it as being another good game of football, but I see us implementing our style and our ferocity, and I think that we're going to win the game 3-1 without a shadow.
3-1. Rich, what sort of game do you expect in 5 days' time against Brighton? And it's nice to have Boxing Day off, by the way. I must get that in. It's nice to have Boxing Day off.
It definitely is nice. Nice to have Boxing Day off for sure. And also going to the Christmas break on a happy note, and then know that we're building as a club and looking forward to the January transfer market for sure. For me, I think Brighton's a team inconsistent. One, also the manager has spoken quite a bit around the philosophy for the club is obviously buying those younger players, developing those players, and then implementing them in the team. So I think they've got gaps within their team, like we have. We've got we've got a better squad, I feel, than them, better players, and I think, like Ricky, it will be a back and forth game because they'll let us play. The teams that we have struggled to break down in the past, those low block teams that kind of get everybody behind the ball, and we're having to spend 70 minutes trying to kind of create chances to actually score. I think Brighton's going to be back and forwards. I think we've still got that edge with the players that we've got, and I feel we'll win by 2 goals as well. Whether it's 3-1, I'm not sure. It'll be 2-0 or 3-1.
Rich, De Zerbi does deserve a lot of credit from what he's done at Brighton, because he seems to lose a lot of real quality players, but he seems to then somehow replace with the same quality.
For sure, that obviously scouting networks brilliant. They've really spent a lot of time around how do they sustain themselves as a Premier League club, and that is definitely through that recruitment strand. Scouts are obviously key to that, but obviously the manager picking the players that fit into, again, his philosophy of playing, not just having the players and then creating the team around them, which is what has happened to other clubs that have come up in the past. And I think Brighton as a team are very well respected, obviously, in Europe this year. But as we know, if you're playing like Wednesday, Sunday or Thursday, Sunday, it can have a massive detrimental effect to the squad and how the squad plays. And I feel that because they've been in Europe this year, that's had a massive effect on their consistency within the Premier League. And that's why I'd go for a Spurs win, but I'd go for a Spurs win anyway, to be honest.
Craig, how are you feeling ahead of the Brighton game?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. They're not as good as what they were last season, but it's always going to be a tough game against Brighton. So, you can. I thought there was somebody about to jump on you, Chris. There behind you. You see it on a set of steps or something. It's going to be a toughie. It's going to be a toughie, but I think we're just going to edge it. I think we'll come out 2-1 winners. I think we're going to have a bit too much fun. Just hope Romero's hammy's all right. I think the fact he was outside rather than inside and getting treatment is probably a good sign, hopefully. So hopefully it's just a precaution. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win. We'll just get over the line.
Last 2 questions for you. Ricky, let's start with you. Prediction on how many new signings we will get in January, and the fact that we are back in the top 4. Do you think we're going to stay there? Position you think we're going to finish at the end of the season?
Oh, okay. On signings, I reckon we will get two permanent signings, and then possibly a loan. That's what I'm going to go with. And then where we gonna finish in the season? I'll say what I've said all season, which is better than last season. But no, if this form continues, then I definitely see us upsetting the apple cart in that top 4. And again, like we've all said throughout this podcast there, if but maybe, we could still be top of the league right now. If but maybe, and we could still be pushing those that are at the top right now. So, Aston Villa are on level points right now. We made them look ordinary with all of our suspensions, with all of the play that we just think about that, When we played Man City, they could have, should have, peppered us. But we're a different side. We're a fighting side. Chelsea, I predicted a 4-0. And we was on the way to that until everything, like Tottenham, we don't just have one problem. All of the problems happen at the same time, and everything comes crashing down all at the same time. But we've rebuilt, and like I say, that adversity has pushed us through. So I think the boys are going to be on a high, and we're going to actually start to build some momentum. And fingers crossed, we are up there, in and amongst it. It's got to be top 4 if you want to really push me. But I reckon we could easily. I say easily. I reckon we could push the top 3.
Okay, I am going to push you. If Spurs are going to finish in the top 4, who are the other 3?
The other 3, Gooners will be up there. I think Liverpool will be up there, and Man City will be up there.
Who will win it, Rick?
Oh, come on! Somebody different.
Okay. Rich, I know this is your favourite question.
My favourite question. And I'm Mr. Consistent with the answer, really. I think, obviously, the games throughout the season don't lie, and the points that you gain and the points that you don't kind of tell that story. And last season, obviously, wasn't good enough. We were a substandard side that were out of a lot of games. I think this season, there's a clear 2 or 3 teams that are up there that have already been mentioned. And from the start, especially when we were top of the league, I said we'd come 4th. And I've got a sneaking feeling it might be Liverpool that win the league this year. And then Man City, Arsenal, us. We're a far better side than Villa. I think Villa are a dirty side. And quite fortunate. They're obviously very good at home, but I think that's creating that fortress. And we've had that in the past. We've had a fortress at home. We need to go back to that, having that fortress. And the fans are making that. Like, obviously, the atmosphere, as the guys that go every week know what a fortress it is now. It's a nightclub atmosphere, but also away from home. Incredible support. So thanks for everybody that goes week in, week out. It's definitely going to be progress, Ricky, for sure this year. In where we finish, and 4th is where I predict.
Well, the nightclub is closed, so I've got to go.
That's what kicked you out.
Great. I've forgotten even what the questions are now. Where are we finishing, and how many signings?
I'd like to see 3 come through the door. As I've said before, a centre back, perhaps the Tadiba looks brilliant. Centre midfielder and a striker. Whether we will, I mean, I would have thought somebody like Calvin Phillips on loan for 6 months. It looks like he might be going to Juventus, but Conor Gallagher's a funny one for me. I've never really rated Conor Gallagher. He doesn't excite me at all, so I'd rather steer clear of him. But I could see Calvin Phillips in the Spurs shirt, to be honest with you. Where are we going to finish? Sorry,
I was going to say Chelsea doing business with Spurs.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, can't see it. No, exactly. But apart from that, even if they would, Conor Gallagher doesn't excite me as a player. Really, I just can't see that one happening. Perhaps because he's a Chelsea player, like you say, I just can't see it. But wouldn't excite me. But where are we going to finish? I think we're going to finish top 4. I think we're probably going to finish 4th if you're going to push me for position. I don't see why we can't get 3rd if we continue in this vein and getting the players back and get suitable signings in. But I think City are going to win the league. I think they'll come good after Christmas and New Year. They always do. They always come on strong. I think City's just going to pip Liverpool. So yeah, 4th, I'm going to say.
Also, do you know what? We've had our dip. Do you know what I mean? We've had our dip, and we've had everything happen all at the same time. Gooners haven't had their dip. Villa haven't had their dip. Do you know what I mean? There's a couple. Man City are having their dip right now. So who knows where we could go? Who knows?
That's it. And I think if Villa lose Ollie Watkins, that's a big loss for them. Whereas if we lose the centre forward, I think we've got players that can fill that void. So yeah, you're right about Villa.
Craig, thanks so much for joining us this evening, and have a wonderful Christmas. What have you got planned for Christmas?
Just going to the in-laws and just generally probably eating too much, drinking too much. And but you're right, it's nice to have Boxing Day off, as in you haven't got to stress about Tottenham on Boxing Day. So it's nice to have it a bit later in the week. But thanks for having me on. Merry Christmas to everybody watching. I hope you have a lovely Christmas. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, or X as it's now called, at Dearman9, that'd be lovely. If not, no worries at all. And I'll see you on the next one.
I love it how you said earlier, if you want to push me. Of course, I push all of you to give me the answers. It's what you're here for. Richard, great to have you back. What have you got planned for Christmas, and where can people find you?
So just training for my next ventures next year on the road. Also some exciting stuff coming along, which is brilliant. But it's always great to be on the show supporting the club I love, but also be part of this group as well, and encourage everybody to follow Chris and put so much time and effort into what he delivers. Everybody needs to get behind him for sure. So keep doing the great work, mate. And the rest of the guys have a great Christmas as well.
Thank you so much, Rich, and great to have you back on again. And Ricky, I tell you what, every single time, or most times, I get stopped in the stadium when people say, love the podcast, love what you do, your name always comes up. And no disrespect to anyone else that comes on this channel, the amount of people who say, Ricky's my favourite.
Oh, wow. Well, I love you all. You're all my favourites too, honestly. It's always an honour and a pleasure to be on. I love this show. Like Rich was saying there, if you haven't subscribed to Chris yet, I mean, he's had a Sandro teaser on today, and he's going to have Sandro in next year. So if you want Sandro on the damn show, make sure you subscribe. Do not miss it. Do not miss out, because Chris will always get you the exclusives. You know what I mean? No, that's love. That's so much beautiful love from the fans. Thank you. It's much appreciated. Myself on Christmas Day, much like Craig, I'm going to be eating and drinking too much. I'm trying to use this break to kind of prepare my body for what comes next. From Boxing Day, I'm going to get to the gym and start getting my fitness back up, because come 1st of January, it goes absolutely mental with Dancing on Ice. It goes crazy. I've just seen my first week. Some of the times they've got me waking up is ridiculous. But no, it's going to be a fun adventure, and I'm going to be prepping for that. But to everybody out there celebrating right now Christmas, or enjoying these holidays, as some of you call it, listen, have a great one. Make sure that you remember the best things in life are the friends and the family and the connections that you make, those memories that you make. It's not about the material things. It's not about the iPad. It's not about the phone or anything like that. It's about the people that are kind of there for you week in, week out, day in, day out, people that love you and support you in the highs and in the lows. And never forget what the true meaning of Christmas is. And that's to kind of share love, spread love, and appreciate those people that appreciate you.
Very well said. Thank you, Rick. And I'll tell you what, I've really, really enjoyed this podcast this evening. Not just because Tottenham have won, but I've been joined by great company again. And throughout the year, I can't express my thanks enough to the three of you and everyone else who has come on, throughout 2023. And let's hope that 2024 is going to be successful for Tottenham and everyone. And have a great Christmas, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And as the guys have said, if you don't subscribe to the channel as yet, please do hit that subscribe button. And I know I've had a couple of comments saying have a couple of days off. You know that's not going to happen. There'll still be content out on Christmas Day, so look forward to it. But thanks for watching. Thanks for all of your support as always. And I will see you on the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on!